Well, today's the day I thought I'd do a review on my Aquaterra spa. I just got this in about 3 months ago and got it from Costco, and I'll go through some of the specs and what it costs and all that stuff. But I just want to get an overall view of what I like and don't like about it. But mostly, I love it. It works great for me. So let's start the review. All right, so let's get a start. Here's my Aquaterra spa. And of course it fits in that corner. One of the main reasons I bought it was because of the dimensions. I wanted a hot tub. It's pretty much me that uses it most of the time. My partner, she and I get in it, and they say this is a 4-person spa. It's probably like with grandma and 3 kids, a 4-person spa, but it's really for 2 adults. I use it a lot myself. She likes it, doesn't use as much as me, but it works great for the 2 of us. Comes with this great cover, and it's really high quality cover, like Sunbrella fabric. I went ahead and sprayed it with UV resistance to make sure that it's going to last a lot longer. I also bought an extra cover, which I have over here. I'll show that to you. I got it from Amazon to keep the UV off, but overall the cover is great. It's plastic, and so it's got a little bulge there. This sticks out a little bit more than I'd like it to, but overall it works fine. And it's also a plug and play, so I've got the cord run under here, did a little notch here, comes under my deck, comes up, and it comes into this circuit. There's 2 plugs here, but I've got a buddy of mine who's an electrician, so even though there's 2 plugs, they're 2 separate circuits. So this spa is actually on its own dedicated circuit. I don't have to worry about it clicking off or anything. So anyway, let's go on from there. You will follow. I tell you, hope is... One of the first things that I did, or the first thing I did, was I took up my deck, and I'll show you some pictures that I took. And so of course I had to reinforce under this. There's only about 2 feet of space under my deck because I sit right off the ground. And so I went ahead and reinforced under the middle of this with 4 additional piers and a 4x6 beam that I cut in half, then reinforced. So I'll show you some pictures of that. So when I got this 3 months ago, I had them delivered. It actually came right through my slider door there, and through the front door, and it fit right through that on its side. What I did inside was I took a carpet that I had, like a carpet sits in front of the door. I turned it over so it was slick, put it on its side, and slid it across the floor. It worked out great. Put it on the deck. Only weighs 270 pounds, and it's set up really fast. Got it, cut it all out, all the plastic and everything, set it on the side, and then started filling it up. I did use a filter. I'll show you that in just a second, and that got out all the hard metals and everything. But it took me about an hour to fill it up. It takes 200 gallons, and it worked really easy. So, all right, so here's the tub. It does have locks. I don't use them that often, but you can lock it down in case it's windy. I do really like the cover. It's Sunbrella, so I spray this with a UV resistant and water resist as well, just to make the cover last more years. So I'm going to do that about every 3-4 months. Just turns over here. High quality, like I said, I really like it. And then the cover is not too heavy. I just slide it off, and when I'm in the tub, it just lives here. And so I said the cover's great. The other thing that I use too is, I'll show you this later, but I also bought a cover off Amazon, which yet again goes on top. It's not really for insulation, it's just to keep the UV down. So here's the hot tub, and very, very simple. It has really simple as far as starting and all that stuff. It has the light, different colored lights. It has, you can turn this on right now. If this is turned off, it's just circulating and heating. Also, I did go ahead and get the ozone to put in this, which helps keep it clean as well. Then you just have the one control, 20 jets. You have 5, 4, 4, and 6, and you turn this guy, and that of course induces the bubbles, and then you press this again, and there it is. So we'll turn that back down, turn the bubbles off, and once again now it's just heating. Over here is where the filter is, and it has one big filter. I've got a buddy of mine that has a really big spa. He actually has 3, but that one seems to work really well. I wash it out once a week. It's easy to get to take that out, take the filter out, and then clean it. Also, the other thing is that I never use it, so I don't really think about it. Is we turn this on, we turn this up. It has this little waterfall thing. I guess you'd call it just a water feature, but I don't really ever use it. I don't really need it. So that's not really a thing for me. And so you can tell when it's heated up fully, it kicks back off. It does not cycle that much. I think it's really efficient. It's really well insulated, so it's not cycling all the time. Also, you have the heat, as you can see here. I keep it at like 103 right now. Wintertime 104. As summer gets here, I've only had it 3 months. I'll probably turn it down to 102. But if you want to go up, you can go up. You want to go down, you can go down. So it's really simple. This is the only control on here, and of course behind the panels, all the plumbing, the heater, all the electronics and such. Really super easy to get to. This is where the cord came out, and once again I ran it across, made a little notch, came underneath my deck, and then up into its box. And I think, as I mentioned, there's 2 plugs here, but it's 2 different circuits. I had my buddy who's an electrician actually run a separate circuit, so this is on its own circuit. It's never going to kick off because it gets overloaded. And so overall good. The other thing on this side, there's the cap that you can undo, and I just did this about last week. I undid that and just let it drain. So to drain the entire thing took 1 hour, and then to fill it takes about 1 hour. And then when you go to actually heat it, to get it up to heat, the one thing I would say that I made a mistake on the first time, and I didn't know this, is when I heated it the first time, it took 26 hours because I'm using 110, so I'm using the plug and play instead of having it wired for the 220. But the thing is that when I started heating it, I thought that by turning on the bubbles, it would circulate it and heat it more. So I didn't know, you probably do. As soon as you turn this on, you're inducing actual air from the outside, so it's actually cooling it down. And so when you go to heat, what you're going to want to do is turn this off so that when the heater kicks on, it's just recirculating and heating the water. So the first time I heated this thing took me 26 hours. The second time last week when I did it, the water went in at 63 degrees out of my faucet, and it heated up in 16 hours with the bubbles turned off and the heater working. So anyway, I like the size. Like I said, it's pretty much for 2 people comfortably, or grandma and 3 little kids, because you get 4 adults in here, everybody's going to have their knees on everything. I guess you could, but I wouldn't want to. That's a little tight for me. So overall, I'm really happy about the spa. The one thing too that I would mention is this is plastic. Let's call it what it is, and it's textured, and so obviously it's shot in a mold somewhere. My buddies all have hot tubs that is fiberglass, and the fiberglass is nice and it's slick, but actually I kind of like the texture. When you get in, you're not sleeping around so much. When you sit down, you're fairly firm in there, but you can move around, and so it's pretty darn great the way it is. I like it. So I think the next thing to do is let me show you here taking off this panel and what's underneath, because once again it didn't come with the ozone, but I do recommend getting the ozone. So let me lock you guys into place here, adjust you a little bit, and then we're going to take this panel off. So I've had this panel off more than a few times, and it's super easy. It's four screws. One. So just that easy. Take the 4 screws out, put them somewhere so you don't lose them. And this guy just comes off. All right, so here you have the interior and the interior working. Let me get you a close up here. Plane going overhead. So to get inside this, because I had to hook up, this is the ozone here and how it hooks in. But what I did was you have to take off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. It comes off. I always keep this on, but to hook up the ozone, you have to go ahead. It already has some plugs, so you just put it on. I'm not going to take it apart to show that to you. The main thing is when you put on the ozone, if you buy it, and let me back up a second, I do recommend the ozone. It really does help. Keeps it fresher and such. This is the one that Aquaterra you can buy from them. I've seen the ozone makers on Amazon for about, let's say $75. This was $200, but I went ahead and got it because it, I just popped for it because that's what it is made to go with. It comes with the ozone, the connector. It comes with the plug that plugs into here, and also it comes with this induction. And so all I had to do is cut this off. It comes with the clamps and all. You put it in, and if you look at it, it goes here, and this is the way that it goes into the water. You have to make sure that this is going towards there. If you reverse it, it will not work. So when you have it this way, the pump goes this way, it draws the water in, and it comes down through the ozone, and that's what pulls it in. And so if I turn this guy on, you can see this is starting to go. Okay, so what you see here is these bubbles coming up right through here. Maybe you can see it. Well, there you go. And that's the actual ozone going in. And so you have some bubbles here, and those tend to quit bubbling because it's just the heater. But that ozone is going to actually help a lot, keeping it fresh and such. But once again, when you do this, it has to be facing, the longer ends of the shorter has to be facing towards the hot tub, and it's really simple to put in. And so anyway, that's all good. The only thing I'm concerned about is it does leak just a little bit of water, and so I've captured a little bit of water. You can see it's falling onto this, so I'm not crazy about that. I've got to figure that out. So the other thing I'd mention too is that their technical support is really good. I called them up about wiring because some wires were reversed when I put on the ozone. They told me exactly what to do to make it work, and everything worked great. I had to call them a few times to ask them questions. They're terrific, and so actually it's really, really good. All right, so there's that. Okay, the other thing I want to show you is I got this cover off of Amazon, less than 50 bucks. Fits over the top of this thing, and this cover does one thing. It doesn't help with insulation or anything, but what it does is it actually, once again, I've got the sun, it sweeps across this way, so this is just more UV protection, because this guy is going to break down and tear down in the sun. I spray this with UV protectorant, but then I've got this over it. I sprayed this with UV protectorant, so hopefully I get another year, 2 or 3 out of this hot tub cover because of this. The one thing I did that I thought made sense at the time was I went ahead and got a bungee and put this here because it gets windy up through here and can blow the cover off. But the thing that I found is I think that this actually locks everything in, and your chemicals need to off gas. And I think that this was locking it in, so it was more of a science experiment inside the tub, and it got a little darker in the water. So now, unless if it's really going to be windy, I'll put it on, but otherwise I'll leave it off, and it just kind of helps it breathe a little bit more. I think that if you look up on YouTube, you're going to find they always recommend when you put in anything, whether it's pH up, down, alkaline, shock, chlorine, you want to run the tub for about 20 minutes, and that's to let everything work, but also to off gas too. And so this guy, I said, $50, and hopefully I get a couple more years out of the cover. There you go. Okay, so some of the features, of course, full foam insulation. It hardly ever cycles, and it does come with either 110 or you can hook it up to 220. I decided just to go with the 110. It took, like I said, 16 hours for it to heat up, but once it's hot, it's just going to cycle. And once in a while, it doesn't cycle that much. It's very quiet as far as I'm concerned. So I didn't feel any reason to do the 220. Of course, you can if you want. It says room for 4 people. Nah, that's not true. It's really 2 adults. Cascading waterfall I never use. Underwater lights I use once in a while. And you can set the lights for red, green, blue, white, or they'll cycle through and make it different. I just keep it on blue. A 1.5 horsepower dual speed pump works great. It's 70 by 61 by 32. One of the main reasons I got this is my deck isn't huge. I wanted like a 2-person spa, but you really want to get a 3 or 4 person for 2 to be comfortable. I looked at 2-person spas and it's like fish in a barrel. So I said, I need to make this fit in this corner so I still have deck for my table and plants, and I've got beans and stuff going over here, onions and potatoes, so I wanted my deck. So it fit great for me. One of the main things too, I don't know if you can hear it, it just cycled on. But that's how quiet it is, so it's just heating. Dry weight is only 270 pounds, so moving it around isn't bad. Filled weight is 2,700 pounds. That's why you have to reinforce it. And once again, I took up the deck. I put in 4 piers that I'll show pictures of, and another cross beam, so this thing is not going anywhere. It is rock solid. It's not going to sink into the earth. And so I think that's kind of everything about it that I really like. But overall, I'm really thrilled with it. I didn't know how much I'd use it. It's my first spa, but I use it at least once a day, sometimes twice. My partner, she'll get in it with me every once in a while. Wintertime is great. I'm a big skier, and so I get home, it's just therapeutic, it's great. But there's times where I just get chilly and I just go in for 10 or 15 minutes, take a soak, and I'm warmed up, I'm comfortable. I usually use it right before I go to bed. It relaxes me so I sleep better. So the last thing I'd mention is from Costco. The shipment came in, the guys were really nice. I shouldn't probably say this, but I gave them $50 a piece, and they're the ones who helped me move it in here. But they are supposed to drop it at the front, and then you're supposed to take care of it. You guys can figure that out. The other thing is when I was looking at some of the fiberglass tubs, they were used 4,000 to 5,000, and new they were like 8,000 to 10,000. We're talking about, you know, a 4 to 6 person spa. This one was $3,000. And right now it's on sale, like when I bought it, so it's $2,500. That's why I didn't feel bad about spending $200 more for the ozone. And once again, get the ozone, that really does help with it. But so I'm into it, less than $3,000, and it's not used. It's brand new. I'm the first one to own it, and I use this thing all the time. And so really, really happy with it the way it is. And do I recommend it? Absolutely. And once again, the follow-up, when I had questions, I call in, always pleasant, always had the right answers, and always really wanted to help me with all the little things that happen when you call up a place. So you get real live people, and they do a great job. So Aquaterra, this Benicia model, I do recommend it highly, and I hope you get a tub and enjoy it yourselves. Thanks.